Could a single month at the World Cup really outweigh an entire club season and decide who becomes the best player on earth? That question sounds unfair until you realize football has never judged greatness by spreadsheets alone. Every generation says consistency should matter most. Then the World Cup arrives. One unforgettable performance changes the emotional memory of millions, and suddenly every previous argument starts to collapse. That is exactly why Lionel Messi keeps finding himself at the center of the Ballon d'Or conversation whenever Argentina makes another deep World Cup run. And the deeper I looked into it, the more I realized this debate isn't really about statistics. It's about how football chooses its legends. The first mistake people make is assuming the Ballon d'Or is awarded like a math competition. Add the goals, count the assists, compare trophies, declare the winner, if only it worked that way. Football has always rewarded moments that become history. There is a huge difference between scoring 30 league goals in relative silence and delivering one unforgettable World Cup performance that billions of people remember forever. Human beings don't remember seasons equally. We remember defining moments. That explains why every World Cup year feels different from every other football season. During a normal year, attention is split between domestic leagues, European competitions, international breaks, and endless transfer stories. During the World Cup, the entire football universe focuses on one tournament. Every journalist voting for the Ballon d'Or watches the same matches, talks about the same players, and experiences the same emotional highs. That concentration of attention creates enormous influence. History has already shown this pattern repeatedly. Paolo Rossi became one of the greatest examples. His club season was hardly spectacular, but his incredible World Cup knockout performances completely transformed his legacy. Another example arrived decades later when Luka Modric led Croatia to the World Cup final. Cristiano Ronaldo had an outstanding club campaign, yet the emotional weight of Modric's international journey shifted the conversation entirely. Those aren't isolated exceptions. They're reminders that football values the biggest stage differently. Now apply that same logic to Messi. Imagine a 39-year-old player leading Argentina through another World Cup while continuing to score, create chances, dictate tempo, and deliver decisive moments under maximum pressure. Suddenly, the discussion changes from who had the strongest domestic season to who defined football's biggest event. Those are two completely different questions. This is where the controversy begins. Some fans absolutely hate this idea. They argue that the Champions League is harder because it requires excellence across an entire season against elite club opposition. There is real logic behind that argument. Winning Europe's toughest club competition demands incredible consistency, tactical discipline, and physical endurance. Players perform week after week rather than during one concentrated tournament. But football has never been purely logical. The World Cup carries something no club competition can replicate: national identity, generational pressure, emotional weight. Every mistake becomes national news. Every goal becomes part of a country's history. That's why voters have always treated World Cup success differently, whether they openly admit it or not. This creates an uncomfortable reality for players like Ousmane Dembélé or Kvicha Kvaratskhelia if they dominate European football during a World Cup year. Imagine helping your club conquer Europe, producing brilliant performances over months, only to watch another player leap ahead because of one unforgettable international tournament. Is that completely fair? Maybe not. Is it historically consistent? Absolutely. The fascinating part is that Messi's case goes beyond trophies. Age changes everything. If a 24-year-old dominates a World Cup, people expect greatness to continue for another decade. When someone approaching 40 performs at that same level, the reaction becomes something entirely different. Every successful dribble feels impossible. Every decisive pass becomes another reminder that the normal rules no longer seem to apply. That emotional factor matters more than many fans want to admit. Ballon d'Or voters are journalists. Journalists don't vote inside laboratories. They vote after spending months immersed in football stories, unforgettable matches, emotional narratives, and defining moments. Even if everyone tries to remain objective, complete emotional separation has never existed in sports awards. And honestly, maybe it never should. Sports aren't remembered because they produce perfect statistical models. They're remembered because they create unforgettable stories. Messi represents exactly that. There's another interesting angle that often gets ignored. Argentina today doesn't depend on Messi the same way they once did. That sounds strange because he's still their biggest star. But this team has evolved into something much healthier. Midfielders like Enzo Fernandez and Alexis Mac Allister contribute creativity and defensive balance. Julian Alvarez provides relentless movement. Christian Romero anchors the defense with authority. Emiliano Martinez delivers confidence from the back. Instead of carrying everything alone, Messi now amplifies an already complete team. Ironically, that makes his individual brilliance stand out even more. When he produces decisive moments inside a balanced squad, it feels less like survival and more like pure greatness. That's a dangerous combination for every Ballon d'Or rival. Meanwhile, look at the competition. Harry Kane could produce another remarkable scoring season, yet if England falls short during decisive World Cup matches, voters inevitably ask difficult questions. Kylian Mbappe might deliver spectacular numbers, but exiting before lifting the trophy changes public perception instantly. Rodri could dominate midfield once again. But defensive midfielders historically face an uphill battle because football naturally celebrates players creating iconic attacking moments. Whether people like it or not, attacking memories usually survive longer than defensive excellence. That isn't necessarily fair. It's simply how audiences remember football. Here's where things become even more controversial. Some critics claim Messi benefits from reputation more than anyone else. I actually think that criticism misunderstands what reputation really means. Reputation isn't magic. Reputation is accumulated evidence. Players spend years building credibility through impossible performances. Eventually, that history shapes expectations. When Messi produces another extraordinary tournament, people don't reward his past alone. They connect another masterpiece to an already legendary career. The same phenomenon happened with Michael Jordan in basketball and Tom Brady in American football. Greatness changes how future achievements are interpreted. That isn't favoritism, that's legacy. Still, there is one emotional factor that nobody openly wants to discuss, but almost everyone quietly understands. Every legendary career eventually reaches its final chapter. If this truly represents Messi's last realistic opportunity to compete seriously for another Ballon d'Or, some voters will absolutely feel that emotional weight. Not because they want charity, not because they ignore football, because they recognize they may never witness another player like him again. People naturally appreciate final acts differently from opening chapters. Sports history is filled with farewell moments receiving greater emotional attention. Again, that's human nature, not mathematical bias. Now let's shift the perspective. Suppose Spain wins the World Cup instead. Suddenly, the Ballon d'Or conversation becomes dramatically more complicated. Spain doesn't revolve around one overwhelming superstar in the same way Argentina revolves around Messi's influence. Their success comes from collective balance. Young talents explode down the wings. Intelligent midfielders dictate rhythm. Defenders contribute calmly in possession. Tactical organization elevates everyone. That creates a fascinating problem. Who deserves the credit most? Rodri? Lamine Yamal? Another unexpected breakout star? The vote suddenly fragments. Meanwhile, Messi, even without lifting the trophy, could still remain central because everyone instantly recognizes where Argentina's inspiration came from. Individual clarity matters during awards. Spain's collective brilliance could unintentionally split votes among several deserving candidates. Argentina rarely faces that problem. Another piece of this puzzle involves psychology rather than football itself. Fans often assume voters spend months carefully comparing every statistical category. Reality feels much messier. The final weeks before voting usually feature non-stop discussion about the biggest recent performances. Television debates repeat the same highlights. Social media amplifies defining moments. Emotional momentum builds quickly. Recency bias exists in every major award. Football isn't immune. That's another reason the World Cup arrives with enormous influence. The tournament happens while memories remain vivid. One extraordinary semifinal, one legendary final, one unforgettable assist. Those moments stay fresh precisely when opinions become permanent. Something else from this discussion really caught my attention. Modern football increasingly values younger players. Clubs invest heavily in teenagers because sports science, tactical education, and advanced analytics allow elite talents to mature faster than previous generations. At the same time, better recovery methods extend careers into the mid-30s and sometimes beyond. Those two trends seem contradictory. They're actually happening simultaneously. Young stars arrive earlier. Veterans stay longer. That creates extraordinary generational battles we've rarely witnessed before. A teenager like Lamine Yamal can challenge legends still competing near 40. Football suddenly compresses multiple generations into the same elite conversation. That's incredible for fans. It's brutal for awards, because every vote becomes a philosophical decision. Do you reward the future? Do you reward the present? Or do you reward a career reaching one last impossible peak? Those questions don't have universally correct answers. They only have different interpretations of greatness. Personally, the biggest misconception isn't whether Messi deserves another Ballon d'Or after winning another World Cup. The bigger misconception is believing voters separate narrative from performance. They don't. Nobody does. Every sporting memory combines achievement with emotion. When Diego Maradona is remembered, statistics alone aren't telling the story. When Zinedine Zidane is remembered, numbers aren't leading the conversation. When Lionel Messi is discussed decades from now, people won't begin with spreadsheets either. They'll begin with moments, the impossible dribbles, the impossible assists, the impossible trophies, the impossible longevity. That's exactly why the Ballon d'Or debate becomes so explosive every World Cup year. One unforgettable tournament can permanently reshape football history. And perhaps that's precisely why the award continues generating endless arguments. Because deep down, nobody is really voting for numbers. They're voting for the story they believe future generations will never forget. So if another unforgettable World Cup run rewrites football history once again, would voters really be choosing the best statistical season? Or would they simply be recognizing the player who became impossible to erase from the game's greatest memories?
If you enjoy this video, please like, share, subscribe and hit the bell to the later update from my channel. Thank you for watching till the end and see you in the next video.